What up, y'all? Checking in here on Wednesday, September 25th. And hey, I recorded a video earlier this morning and discussed everything I'm going to talk to you in this video here, but my camera shut off halfway through it. So I lost all of it, and I don't have time to re-record everything, so I'm going to do my best Bill O'Reilly impression and say, F it, we'll do it live. We'll do it live. Keep it PG-13 though. Hey, I know it's been a few days, but let's get right down into it. I want to talk about 8chan possibly coming back online within the week. All the calls for Trump's impeachment. Want to go over news about General Flynn's court case, vaccines, UFOs, go all across the board, as I like to do. Try to fit as much as I can into these. And let's get right into it. First of all, shout out from a sponsor, and that one is NOBLEGOLD. If you want to grow your retirement fund or invest your money in something that's safe and always continuously growing, look at gold, look at silver, look at palladium. NOBLEGOLD has a bunch of great information on how to do that, and they can help you do that. Free ebook, links will be down in the description for them. And let's talk 8chan. So first of all, there is a claim made by Jim Watkins himself in a recent interview from probably what sounds to be within the last few days. 8chan owner Jim Watkins says the website could be back online by early next week. I've seen this blog post floating around the Twitter sphere this morning. A lot of people tweeting it. I tweeted it myself. It comes from wootva.com. This is the blog that made the post that has the clip of Jim Watkins' interview in it. Okay, so here's the blog post that came up yesterday. It links a YouTube video. Here's the clip of Jim Watkins' interview, and it's a 2-minute clip. I don't know who conducted the full interview or where you can find the full thing and listen to it, but nevertheless, it's a 2-minute clip of this, and like I said, it sounds like it's from within the last couple of days. When you listen to the way Jim Watkins speaks, the context with which the words he uses, sounds like it's within the last 24 to 48 hours. And he says 8chan could be back up online by Monday or Tuesday with better security. So grab your popcorn, folks. Something I'm definitely waiting for. So 8chan could be back online soon, and cue back to posting very soon. And I mean, we're waiting for the declassification of a lot of things. Maybe FISA, also Epstein documents, 10 to 20,000 more pages and maybe hundreds of more names. We'll talk Epstein in a minute. So all these things we're waiting for. No doubt that's why the deep state is in a full court press attacking President Trump right now. And yesterday, while Trump was at the UN talking to the General Assembly, if you didn't listen to this speech, it was a good one, man. He was saying that the future doesn't belong to the globalists, it belongs to the patriots. He was outing the big tech corporations for silencing free speech, and it was good. It was good stuff. Well, while he was there, Nancy Pelosi announces formal impeachment inquiry into President Trump. Nancy Pelosi announced this in the morning, and then it looked completely coordinated, 100% coordinated, because within an hour of her making this formal inquiry, and what a lot of people need to realize, this doesn't mean impeachment proceedings are going on or it's even in the Congress yet. It's just an inquiry. It's like them questioning whether or not to do it. Obviously, they can't. They have no facts or evidence for it. But within an hour of this being announced, it was all over the narratives and the fake news media. I saw all the top elites, all the top deep staters tweeting about it within minutes. I saw it trending on Twitter, and I think it's still trending on Twitter right now. So you could see, the algorithms were manipulated. The news wires went out. The talking points went out. Completely coordinated push. And this is amid the controversy around that, quote, whistleblower, quote, leaking to the media the allegations that Trump was trying to pressure the new Ukrainian leader to investigate his political rival Biden and do all this shady, corrupt stuff. That was the claim, right? Well, shoot, it's all completely backfiring. Here's a great article from Sarah Carter here, Whistleblower Hysteria, Why Democrats Don't Want to Investigate Joe Biden and His Son, because that's where the corruption, the collusion with the Ukrainian government was a few years ago and has been all along. Trump went and literally released the transcripts to that phone call that he held with Ukraine's new leader back in July. He put out the transcripts today, and 4 pages of them, of that phone call in July. And if you read through this, nothing is said that implicates him. Nothing. They basically call each other. President says, congratulations. Ukraine president goes, yeah, we're working to drain the deep state here too, or drain the swamp, he says. Not deep state, but drain the swamp here too. And then President Trump says, oh, it's good to hear. Friendly conversation. Trump says, hey, I hear about all these things, this thing called CrowdStrike, this server. Can you look into that in the Ukraine there? President from Ukraine says, yeah, the new attorney general we're going to have over here is going to be handpicked by me. So you got it, President Trump. Nothing implicating. It's just him bringing up these things. And wow, CrowdStrike and the server mentioned in these transcripts. That's pretty incredible. What a way to get that out into the public conversation, right? And then President Trump mentions, well, what about stuff that went on with the, last political group in Ukraine and Joe Biden and them? President of Ukraine says, oh, yeah, we'll look into that too. You got it. So in reading this, it totally seems like it was President Trump and his crew's plan all along just to hang Biden out to dry like this, draw him out, get the chance to release this and get these things into the public conversation. So like Q said, year of the boomerang, this is totally just backfiring, blowing up right in Biden's face, blowing up right in all these elites, all the deep staters, all the fake news's faces. So beautiful stuff to see. And I'm not worried a bit about impeachment, okay? Remember, the Senate is in Donald Trump's favor. So anything that even in the off chance gets passed through the House is going to have to deal with the Senate and not even go forth from there. So nothing to worry about. All the talk from the fake news media and the top elite right now, you might see 70,000 likes on one of their tweets, but come on, most of those are bots. Like, nobody's believing this bullshit. And all WAPO, all New York Times, all CNN can do is talk, but nothing to back it up. So, big events, man. Big events coming within weeks. Like I said, maybe 8chan will be back up. Maybe some other things will be declassed. We got these transcripts declassed. We got these things in the public conversation. How about something else that we need to still have in the public conversation, talking Epstein, okay? A lot of people are... These darn pop-ups, let me close them. A lot of people are thinking that Epstein is like faded from the conversation and that it's all water under the bridge, no one's talking about it anymore. But day by day, we're getting a continuous flow of information about Epstein's case, all right? And also remember, within hopefully a couple of weeks now, we're going to have the unsealing of 10 to 20,000 more documents related to Epstein, related to Ghislaine Maxwell, all their friends, and potentially revealing hundreds of high-level names. So that's a D-class. That's a disclosure that's coming down the pipeline. And like I said, day by day, we're still getting trickles of news. This came out yesterday. French police raid Jeffrey Epstein's apartment and friend's modeling agency. Jeffrey Epstein's apartment there in Paris. And that friend's modeling agency, that friend, is Jean-Luc Brunel. Jean-Luc Brunel, okay? Let's connect some dots with this one. Jean-Luc Brunel is the co-founder of the MC2 modeling agency. MC2, that was the modeling agency where Epstein and his friends probably got a lot of their girls from. But not just that, the MC2 modeling agency is where Rachel Chandler worked. Rachel Chandler. Shoot. This goes to say, if you've been following Q for, nearly 2 years now, if you've been following Q for 2 years, Anons have known. All these dots have began to be connected for us. We've heard about a lot of these things a long time ago, and we knew this was going to come out in the public domain, and here it is. Beautiful to see. It's incredible. Now we're just getting the details. We're getting the names. We're getting all the finer details filled in for us, but we all knew. Anons knew that this was going to be coming out, and it is. It most definitely is, and much more will come. So we went through 8chan, went through the calls, the attempts to impeach Donald Trump. We went through Epstein news. How about talking about General Flynn's court case? Okay, let's touch on a few things pertaining to that. Number one, a couple of days ago, General Flynn's lawyer, Sidney Powell, filed an amendment requesting more additional documents in his case. Remember, we're waiting for the exculpatory evidence, or that evidence that's going to clear that man's name, exonerate him, as it should. And we're trying to get more of that. Mr. Flynn requests any drafts, electronic communications, emails, and texts related to Nellie Ohr's research on Mr. Flynn, and all CIA cables on the topic as well. Right? Again, all these deep state folks, they try to pull their corrupt, shady shit, but with the truth on your side, man, you just hang them out to dry when you request their evidence, request what they've been doing all along. And you can see the projection. You see the projection right now with the Ukraine situation? They're all trying to point the finger at Trump when it's them sociopathic narcissists themselves that have been doing the collusion all along. So, more common in Flynn's case, that'll hopefully clear his name. And I find it interesting that they're requesting all the CIA cables on the topic as well. Be funny what that might bring. So there's that. General Flynn also pleading the fifth to Adam Schiff. So Adam Schiff wanted General Flynn to testify before his House Intelligence Committee, and Sidney Powell, Flynn's lawyer, sent a letter saying that General Flynn pleads the fifth because he doesn't want to be paraded, harassed, or disparaged by Adam Schiff and all of them on that House committee. Can you blame the man? I mean, I wouldn't want to deal with Adam Schiff's bullshit either, so no doubt he's going to go and do that. And then one last thing on news pertaining to Flynn. So this breaking yesterday, judge throwing out the guilty verdict against Michael Flynn's lobbying partner, if I can get the name right here, Bijan Kian. One of General Flynn's former business partners there at the Flynn Intel Group. They've been trying to come after this guy as well. Judge throwing out the guilty verdict because of, quote, insufficient evidence. Insufficient evidence. So with General Flynn's former business partner having a case thrown out against him, hopefully this is a sign that that case will be thrown out against Flynn very soon. And then all them FISA doc dumps coming, man. That's and some more D-class, of course, we're all waiting for. So that's that in regards to Flynn. And now let's touch on vaccines, finish up with Area 51. Yeah, I got some thoughts on all that weirdness that went on over the weekend. So vaccines, right? With the push there has been in states around the country to remove vaccine exemptions and bring forth mandatory vaccination. Of course, we're seeing it in California. I think in recent days, New York even limiting their exemptions, removing them, and forcing vaccines on kids trying to attend public school there. So mandatory vaccination programs proceeding in states. Huge backlash because of it. Massive backlash with all of this. Truth tellers and what the fake news media is labeling as anti-vaxxers, you know. They like to throw labels on all the folks. Conspiracy theorists, anti-vaxxers, Q cult, whatever it is. With the backlash that's going on, that's why the fake news media has been activated to try to squash that as much as they can. So we have the New York Times here. I think this came out yesterday. How anti-vaccine sentiment took hold in the United States. And this is just to the T propaganda piece, pulling out all the stops when it comes to vaccine propaganda. They claim that vaccines are safe and effective, that they prevent cancer. They do all these wonderful, magical things. They shit on Andrew Wakefield in this article as well, you know, pulling out the propaganda on him, saying the World Health Organization cites vaccine hesitancy as one of the top health threats in the globe. They try to tie Donald Trump in on this and call it good old-fashioned conspiracy theory. So they even interviewed Dr. Paul Offit. Dr. Paul Offit there. So, like I said, all the stops when it comes to just bullshit vaccine propaganda. And then, not just the New York Times, the worst of the worst New York Times, not just about vaccines, but, you know, they've been spearheading the fake news about UFOs and all the twisted context of that and everything else, attacks against President Trump. Let's talk NBC. NBC loves to attack those conspiracy theories. They do this against anti-vaxxers here in an article from Brandy Zadrozny. Brandy Zadrozny, you might be familiar with her. She pairs a lot with Ben Collins. They love to hate on Q. They love to shill against that. Brandy Zadrozny also attacks pretty much anything else she can get her hands on. Poor puppet for NBC she is. How anti-vaxxers, she titles this one, target grieving moms and turn them into crusaders against vaccines. My, what powerful language in this one. What charged words. First of all, throwing the label out there, anti-vaxxers. And then target grieving moms, trying to pull on the emotional heartstrings, right? Make them seem heartless, them anti-vaxxers, evil people, right? How anti-vaxxers target grieving moms and turn them into crusaders against vaccines. Terrible, terrible stuff. So that's that. And then let's move on. One last thing actually about vaccines before we move on into talking UFOs and Area 51. This executive order, okay? This is, we'll say, ruffling some people's jimmies, getting their panties in a bunch, really triggering a lot of people. This executive order that President Trump signed a few days ago says here, executive order on modernizing influenza vaccines in the United States to promote national security and public health. Now, deep breaths, everybody. Before we get triggered, before we emotionally react, let's critically think and, level-headedly respond to this. So people see this and they might think, oh, here comes the mandatory vaccinations. Trump is one of them. He's one of the black hats. He's trying to, make it mandatory. That's not what it says in here. When you actually parse the words of this executive order, it's basically a giant fact-finding mission, a giant intelligence-gathering mission. He's tasking the heads of many government agencies, many three-letter organizations, CDC, NIH, etc., to basically just investigate how they can make flu shots more effective, safer, more innovative, etc., etc. So it's a lot of very sort of vague terminology. But a few things I find interesting about this executive order is that it actually states that flu shots, many of them, are made with egg-based technology, and they're made overseas. Okay? Wow. What a way to get those little pieces of data out into the public domain, out into the conversation. Egg-based technology? Does that have anything to do with all these egg allergies we're seeing, the increase of that? And what about manufactured overseas? What do these pharmaceutical companies do? They're outsourcing all this stuff. How dirty is it, right? That's one tactful way to do it. And not just that, but one of the three-letter agencies that's tasked to work with all the other government organizations and research these things is the Department of Defense. At the very bottom here, he actually tasks the DoD to use their network of clinical research sites to coordinate with the CDC and components of the HHS, et cetera, to investigate all these things. So, wow, interesting way to get the military in on this. Maybe try to gather some intelligence themselves or figure out who the bad actors are in the other three-letter agencies, right? So just understand optics, guys. There could always be deeper levels than what we're superficially seeing on the surface. And Donald Trump and the good guys in government and in positions of high office right now, they just can't up and say things like vaccines are bad, okay? They can't just up and say UFOs are real. They can't just up and say many things I'm sure they want to say. I'm sure they want to disclose to the public, but they can't because they don't want to get attacked by the media. It's not, they don't want to seem crazy for the mainstream public. They got to make them believe it. Most people wouldn't even believe it in the first place. So optics, right? There's a lot of strategy to these propaganda wars going on, to this info war going on, for lack of a better term. So just chill. This could be, okay, we'll see how it all progresses from here. So don't get triggered. And let's be real. I mean, people who do their own research, who investigate these things, who know the truth about vaccines, they don't care who says what. They're not going to go out and get shots anyway, okay? So don't get too scared about all this. And then last thing, let's talk about the fake news on UFOs, the fake UFO news. It's incredible how we've seen this topic blow up in the mainstream media for the last 2 years. And a lot of people are actually falling for it, and they're not doing their due diligence of questioning this damn stuff. But first, let's talk Area 51. So that whole Storm Area 51 event, some few million, 2 million people said they were going to show up for it, or at least checked a little box on Facebook that said interested or going. Only a couple hundred shows up, which, I mean, it's basically what I expected. Didn't expect really any big physical showing of it. And it all sort of turned out exactly like I was foreseeing it turning out. This whole Area 51 thing was just a convenient thread that the mainstream media could run with to, number one, make UFO researchers look crazy, weird, unprofessional, not very smart. So very easy way to make the public believe that about people who research these sorts of topics. And not just that, but in the off chance that there was any sort of article in the mainstream media that took the UFO topic a little bit seriously, it was a way that they were able to insert their gatekeepers. Maybe write a little bit about Tom DeLonge's BS. that he's trying to put forth, right? That whole UFO disclosure distraction. Or maybe they were able to write a few lines in a reference to Bob Lazar, who I have some definite questions about him and those around him. Maybe they were able to put out a few other lines of propaganda too as well. So just easy way for them to form the narrative a little bit more, paint some people as crazy that they want to, and do that. So there you go, guys. I mean, fake UFO news, fake vaccine news, fake news about President Trump, fake news about just about everything you see out there in the mainstream media. So got to combat that. Got to do your own research. You know, the self-taught are always the best taught. And I'll continue being here, doing these videos, helping you guys follow along and all this stuff. So thanks for watching, everybody. Stay positive. Take care. Big things coming over the next few weeks. Things might get a little crazy, but they'll get very fun at the same time. And we'll do the work to liberate the minds of our fellow man. Take care, everybody. Done for this one.